Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, is the next movie we are looking at in this retrospective series that we are doing. So this is the direct sequel to the original Star Wars film we just spoke about, A New Hope. So this was the second Star Wars film ever created by George Lucas, and we're going to take a deep dive look at it. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you guys all think of The Empire Strikes Back? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Is it your favorite like most people have? I'm very intrigued. Smash it down there. Smash that like button for me. Click subscribe as well. And let's get into this deeper look of The Empire Strikes Back. So, The Empire Strikes Back, the sequel to the original Star Wars movie. Look, most people have this as their favorite Star Wars film of all time. Most people say this is the best Star Wars film of all time. And you know what? I 100% agree with them. For me, Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars film and the best Star Wars film to me. Not only is it that, but to me, this is the best film of all time. For me, personally. So just remember that. This is how I feel about the movie. And for me, it's the greatest movie ever created. I love this movie to death. And George Lucas, I gotta give it to him, man. The guy's created my favorite movie of all time. So he deserves a lot of stuff. But the interesting thing is, he didn't write and direct this one like he did the first one. He didn't do it with this one. He created the story, created everything going on, but he hired people to come in and actually do it for him. And he just oversaw the project and made sure that it was created to how he wanted it, but given a little bit of free range at the same time. So when we look back at this movie has been a staple my whole entire life. Like, it's been there. Like, the last movie that we spoke about really got me into film and made me start to love it. Empire Strikes Back made me fall completely and 100% in love with film. And it made me love the Star Wars franchise and fall in love with it. And it gave me my favorite character of all time and really emphasized why he is the greatest villain of all time on the big screen, and that's Darth Vader. Because this movie expands upon the lore, expands upon the world, and expands upon relationships that we had no idea was ever going to happen, and then sprinkled in a few more things that may have triggered us to thinking, oh my god, wait a second, is this what's going to happen? Because you got to remember the prequels were never there, so we didn't know Darth Vader was Anakin. We didn't know the brother and sister relationship that Padme had twins. We didn't know all that. So you've got to take that in, and that's why I say you need to watch 4, 5, and 6 if you've never seen Star Wars. You need to watch them first, and then watch the prequels. Because this movie has that big moment in it. So, first off, we start off with Hoth. Where obviously the Empire is sending down probe droids because they have them on the run. Like, the Rebellion just won in A New Hope. They destroyed the Death Star, but now the Empire is striking back. Hence the reason why Empire Strikes Back. So they are chasing them all over the place, and they've made base at Hoth. So we see the probes being launched down. We see Luke and Han out there, and obviously Luke gets hit by this giant creature. And it's just an absolute, like, woolly, I don't know what it is, but it's insanely scary looking. And it's just sitting there as Luke's hanging up, just munching on things in the cave, like just munching on bones and meat and everything like that. There's blood everywhere, and it's pretty freaking creepy creature. So kudos to the people who did the practical effects for that, because that looked absolutely incredible. But this is where we start to see Luke really tap into the Force, and why Darth Vader is looking for young Skywalker is because Luke's able to use this. Obi-Wan's been teaching him from the grave, because he's one with the Force, so he knows how to use the Force Ghost. So he's teaching Luke along the way. So we see Luke use his lightsaber, grab it from there, cut up the thing, and then cut up the monster's arm off and get free. But obviously then he sees a whole hologram thing, which is what we know as the Force Ghost. But at the time there, they didn't know. So he's the Force Ghost of Obi-Wan, sitting there telling him, Luke, you need to go to the Dagobah system because you will be trained by Master Yoda. So this is the first time we ever hear anything about Master Yoda. We didn't know who Master Yoda was or anything like that. So we're sitting there and we're like, what the hell? Who is Master Yoda? Like, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, so there's obviously someone. And then when Ben says he trained me, as we go in the prequels, we know Master Yoda didn't directly train Obi-Wan, but he did train him in some sense, because obviously he helped him with being able to become one with the Force and all that stuff. But we now know Qui-Gon actually taught Obi-Wan from a child growing up, and he was the Padawan. But obviously Master Yoda taught Count Dooku, who taught Qui-Gon, who then taught. So technically, yeah, he kind of did. But so that's our first name drop there. As Luke's being captured, though, this is where we start to see the relationship of Han and Leia start to blossom. We start to see them actually interact. This cool kid who is Han Solo, who's so arrogant, who's so up himself, who thinks he's the bee's knees of everything, and then Princess Leia, who's just like, what the hell are you on about, mate? Who? No, like, stop it. And she's obviously hiding her feelings. It's a typical relationship going on when two people like each other and they're afraid to admit it to each other. And we see Han trying to push her buttons and be like, you want me to stay, don't you? You can't live without me. Like, it's just this beautiful back and forth. And this is where the relationship starts to really blossom. And we start to see what it's going to become as we move forward, which I absolutely love. Like, I love Han as a character. I love Leia. And I love this relationship. I think this relationship is brilliant. And we see the progression throughout the film as the tragic events start to happen. As, for instance, when Han Solo is trying to escape and, you know, gets captured by Darth Vader and then gets put into the carbon freeze, and we see how Leia reacts to that. So we have their relationship that is absolutely organic and really works really well for me. And it is when they're in that worm as well, you see their relationship start to, like, they bicker like an old married couple. Like, come on. You can't sit there and say that Leia and Han don't bicker like an old married couple. They do, and that's how you know it's organic and it feels natural, is because of the way that they argue with each other. It's not a argue like hatred way. It's that fun sort of argument of like, you're wrong, I'm right. No, you're wrong, you're right. Like, it's the back and forth that makes the relationship so well for me. It like works perfectly well. Absolutely fantastic. We also get introduced to new characters like Lando. We see Lando here as
we only use
Cloud
this facility
City
for carbon freezing.
when they
them
have
in there,
to come in
might
and get
kill
the
them.
hyperdrive fix. So we have that after the worm when they're hiding from the Empire. They're in there trying to fix it. They get out and they go to Cloud City. And obviously Han talks about Lando. And we know now with the Solo movie that Lando and Han go way back. They go way, way back. And we see how their ship was one. And that remark is brought up in this movie as well. So we see that Leia doesn't feel very comfortable with Lando. Doesn't feel comfortable in Cloud City. She thinks something's going wrong. And this is where we find out that Lando's actually made a deal with the Empire. And this is where they capture Han Solo and they freeze him in the carbon freezing thing, whatever the actual main terminology is for it, carbon freezing. So that happens, and this is where Han and Leia confess their love. And I just love it because Leia's like, I love you, and he's like, I know. So you see that dynamic and that conversation that he has with Chewie, where Han's like, yo, Chewie, you need to look after the princess now. Like, I'm going to be okay. You just need to look after her. Like, that's your mission now. And I love that. The best friend relationship between Chewbacca and Han Solo is absolutely fantastic. So you have that going on. Obviously, Boba Fett's there. This is our first true introduction to Boba Fett, that mysterious character that looks absolutely awesome. And he's here to collect the bounty on Han Solo and take him to Jabba the Hutt. So that's that storyline going on with that. And obviously, we have Darth Vader, who's setting this trap for Luke Skywalker. He is setting the trap to get him to be carbon freeze, to take him to the Emperor, because the Emperor wants him to come and become his apprentice. So realistically, at this point, we know, now that we know the prequel and we know Palpatine and we know how the Emperor works, this scene is already with the crumbs of, I'm going to dispose of Vader and I'm going to take Luke as my new apprentice. Like, that's what he's really going to do, and that's what it is. But obviously, Darth Vader is trying to, like, get him because Darth Vader has some other plans for him. Meanwhile, Luke is training on Dagobah. He goes to Dagobah and we meet this little green creature. We don't know who it is, and he's saying to the creature, I'm here to see Master Yoda. And, like, now that you watch the prequels, this Master Yoda is completely different to that one. And that is because he doesn't want to, showcase who he really is. And then once that whole facade of him being, like, psychopathic, like, creature, jumping around, being like, oh, I'm going to take this and that, goes away, we see the Master Yoda that we know from the prequels as well. So we see that, and when he realizes that this is actually Master Yoda, we're kind of all like, oh my god, that's Master Yoda? What's going on here? And then the training begins. Yoda starts to train, and he doesn't want to train Luke at first because he thinks he doesn't have any patience. He's very much like his father, who we didn't know at the time was Anakin. and he was going to be easily swayed to the dark side. But Obi-Wan was trying to convince him to do that, so Yoda takes it upon himself to do it. And we had this whole training stuff going on. We see Luke trying to use the Force and that. He goes into this cave because Dagobah is very much got dark side power running through it. So he goes into this cave and he faces his fear. And his fear is that he is Darth Vader. Like, so basically this whole is a metaphor for him fearing the dark side, becoming the one thing that he's trying to defeat. And that is so good. Like, that is some great writing. And Yoda knows this. And Yoda mentions that to him. And when he has the premonition of Han, Leia in a lot of trouble on the City of Clouds, this is where Anakin had that same vision in that. And Yoda spoke to Yoda. So Yoda already knows that stuff's going on with Anakin. So as he's seeing this, he's seeing the same thing start to occur. And he's kind of thinking to himself, like, I've seen this story before. I've seen this, like someone caring about someone so badly, having these premonitions and then turning to the dark side in order to try and stop it. So he starts to see that Yoda and Obi-Wan are pleading to Luke, complete the training. You can't take Darth Vader yourself right now. You can't do it. You need to complete the training. You need to be a Jedi, one with the Force, so you don't get tempted to the dark side. Luke's not having it. He's like, I need to save my friends. Like, I have to. I will come back and complete the training, but I have to do something now. Because if I don't do anything and something happens to them, I've got to live with that. So you have that dynamic going on as well. Obviously, Obi-Wan and Yoda have experience in this with Anakin turning to the dark side through this, with Count Dooku turning to the dark side. So they know what they're talking about, but Luke's not having a bar of it. So Obi-Wan tells Luke, look, don't give in to your feelings. Don't give in to hate and anger. That leads to the dark side. So Luke goes off. He goes to the Cloud City. And this is where Vader has set the trap. Now, the Luke versus Darth Vader fight is so good. Not because it's such a massive spectacle of a battle like Obi-Wan versus Anakin or, the first one in the Phantom Menace with Darth Maul, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. It's not a spectacle like that. But it's all narrative driven. So you have Darth Vader and you have Luke. Luke trying to defend and not give in to his feelings, while Darth Vader is toying with him and trying to set this trap. And when he gets him into the actual freezing compartment there, and then Luke jumps out and he's like, oh, okay. Now I see you got a bit about you. Vader then goes into testing mode. So Vader isn't going all out here. He's testing Luke at this point, trying to see what Luke is all about, how much training he's had, where is he at, what is his power going to be. So that's what I love about it, is the narrative going on. Darth Vader testing him throughout here, and then you get that scene where he starts to throw stuff at Luke and really test him and be like, well, let's see you handle this. What can you do? And he realizes things, okay, so you're not as skillful as you are, but at this time, Darth Vader realizes the truth. Who is Luke Skywalker? Like, what is he? And he's finally realized, like, okay, I know exactly, because he can probably feel the latent potential in Luke and how strong he is with the Force. And by doing this fight, testing him out, he's seeing the actual limits that Luke may have. And that's where this whole narrative of this fight is just so freaking brilliant. And then we get to that iconic scene where he's fighting him there and he's taking in and then chops Luke's hand off. Like, Luke's hand's gone and he feels like that. And this is where Vader starts to tell Luke, like, you don't know, do you? And then this is where that massive wow moment happens. The Luke, I am your father moment. The moment that I never ever saw coming. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, Darth Vader is Luke's father. Like, I remember the first time, this was huge for me. I was like, what is going on? And now Vader is trying to seduce Luke to join him. He's trying to tell him, like, you join me, man. I'm your father. I can complete your training. We can take over, throw the Emperor out, just get rid of all this oppression and everything like that and rule the galaxy as father and son. Like, come on, isn't that a sweet deal? And Luke's sitting there and he's just in complete shock. This is such a good moment for a character like Luke. This is why we love Luke Skywalker as a hero. Because we have the first movie where he wins. And then we have the second movie where he comes up against a force that's stronger than him. Something that he has to overcome. and he gets defeated by Darth Vader. He learns a shocking truth that rattles his core, rattles his character to the core, and now he has to reassess everything that he knew. A guy from Tatooine, he thought his father was some hero in the Clone Wars, and now to find out his father is Darth Vader, the guy that is just oppressing the world, the galaxy, that is some freaking massive moral shock to the character. And then we see Luke jump out. Darth Vader gives that look of like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, come on, man. Why? Like the typical father look like, oh, you really just jumped off, didn't you? You really just did that. You just had to. So we have that. Darth Vader returns to his Super Star Destroyer, which is absolutely incredible, visually beautiful. Luke gets caught down. He's about to fall off the whole Cloud City himself. He's trying to reach out to Ben. Ben can't help him at this point. Remember, Ben is a Force ghost. But then he reaches out through the Force to Leia. And this is our first plant of the seeds towards this relationship that is building between Leia and Luke. And at that moment, when I first saw it, I didn't really think of anything. But now I go rewatch it. This scene is actually done really well to the point where it's like, there is obviously a more deeper meaning connection between Leia and Luke. There is something there that is deeper than what they know. Because they can connect with the Force. So what is actually going on? And it's not until Return of the Jedi, which is the next one we're going to look at, where we start to find out what the actual relationship between these two really is. But these are the first seeds planted for that. They pick up Luke. Luke has this Force conversation with Darth Vader as they go past, and they go out. So to me, Empire is so good because the Empire actually delivered a huge blow to the rebellion. I mean, no Han Solo. Luke lost an arm. Luke now knows Darth Vader's his father. So everything's going on here. What is the next step? Return of the Jedi. That's the one we're going to talk about. But this has visually stunning. Absolutely beautiful. So beautiful. Like that Super Star Destroyer is absolutely gorgeous. Bespin looks great. You know, you have these great character arcs being in the middle now. We have the character arc of Darth Vader. We have the character arc of Han and Leia and Luke himself. So there is so much to love about this movie. For me, it is perfection. It's a masterpiece. I love this movie so much. It's my favorite. It's the best. So that's me. So let me know your comments below. What did you guys think of Empire Strikes Back? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Smash it down in that comment section below. Smash that like button. Click subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, stay safe. Peace out.